Welcome back to the deep dive. We are really glad you're here with us.
They're good to be back.
Usually when we start these conversations, we have a very specific, a tangible target in mind.
Right.
We grab a stack of articles on, say, renewable energy or maybe a new book on behavioral economics, and we pull out the fun facts.
The takeaways, the things you can, bring up at a dinner party.
Exactly, the dinner party trivia. But
Uh,
today feels different. We are looking at a set of documents that they don't just give us facts, they give us a kind of existential vertigo.
hmm, that's a good way to put it.
We are exploring the intersection of three things that I think every single person listening wrestles with, whether they admit it or not: art, skill, and time.
It is a fascinating triangulation. And you're right. It's not the usual dry analysis.
Mm,
I mean, usually when we talk about art, we are stuck debating aesthetics. Is it pretty? Is it good?
right.
When we talk about skill, we talk about talent or the grind.
Yeah.
And when we talk about time, well, usually we're just complaining that we don't have enough of it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm too busy. That's the anthem of our generation.
It really is.
But the source material we are working with today, this document titled legacy.pdf, it suggests that you actually cannot separate these three things. It presents this idea of a triangle where each side completely reshapes the others.
It's all interconnected.
And I have to be honest, when I first read the premise, I had to put the paper down and just, stare at the wall for a minute.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Which part specifically stopped you in your tracks?
It was the opening hook. It says, "At a glance, art feels timeless, skill feels earned, and time feels external. But the deep dive reveals they are inseparable."
Hmm.
It pushes this idea that art isn't just a thing you make, it is physically frozen time. And that skill isn't just being good at something, it's time compressed into your body.
It creates a radically different framework for looking at creativity. I mean, it completely moves the conversation away from the ego-driven question of, is this good?
Yeah, that horrible question.
And it moves it towards this, physics-driven question of what is this preserving?
Right. And legacy.pdf is structured almost like a dialogue itself. It starts with the mechanics of creativity, the nitty-gritty of painting or writing or coding, but then it just falls through the floor into the philosophy of mortality, AI, and what it actually means to leave a trace in the world.
It gets existential very, very quickly. It doesn't apologize for it either.
No, it doesn't. And our mission today is to unpack that. We want to explore this idea that art is frozen time, but we also need to face some genuinely uncomfortable truths.
Okay.
Like, why do we create in the first place? How do we preserve ourselves? And specifically, looking at the context of 2026, which is where we're sitting right now, is technology saving our legacy, or is it creating these sort of digital zombies?
The necromancy argument, yeah. We will definitely get there.
I am excited, but I'm also a little intimidated, I won't lie. This feels heavy. It feels like we're talking about ghosts.
It is heavy, but I think it's important to note that the source describes this kind of thinking as existential hygiene.
Existential hygiene.
Right. It's not meant to be morbid. It's meant to be clarifying. It's like
Yeah.
cleaning your house. It kicks up a lot of dust. It can be messy. But the goal is to live in a cleaner space afterward.
Okay, I like that framing.
So if we can ground this in the specific definitions the text gives us, things like time alchemy and generational ecology, I think we'll find it's actually quite empowering.
Existential hygiene. I like that. It sounds way better than doom spiraling.
A lot better.
Okay, let's start scrubbing. Let's jump into section 1. The physics of art and skill. The document kicks off with this definition that I initially thought was just, poetic fluff. It says, art is frozen time.
It does sound like something you'd see on an inspirational poster, doesn't it?
Exactly. I read that and thought, okay, sure, very pretty. But the text insists this is literal. It's not a metaphor. It's a physics definition.
It is. The text argues that every piece of art is a snapshot of attention. And to really understand this, you have to contrast a painting with a photograph.
Okay, let's break that down. A photograph versus a painting.
Think about a photograph. You hold the camera, you click the shutter. That is, mechanically speaking, maybe 1/100th of a second.
It's an instant.
It's an instant. It captures the light exactly as it was in that tiny split second. It's a slice of time.
Right?
Now, think about a painting of that exact same scene. Let's use the classic bowl of fruit on a table.
Yeah.
To paint that bowl of fruit might take 10 hours. The artist looks at the apple, mixes the red, applies a stroke, looks again, realizes the shadow is wrong, the light's shifted.
Yeah, of course.
So they mix a darker red, they apply another stroke, they step back, they squint, they add a highlight.
Hmm.
Each mark is a decision made in a sequence over hours.
So the painting isn't a snapshot of the fruit.
No, that's the breakthrough. The painting is a record of 10 hours of attention compressed into a single object. When you look at the canvas, you aren't seeing the apple as it was at 2:03 p.m. You are seeing the cumulative decision-making process of the artist over that entire 10-hour window.
So you're seeing what? Their patience, their frustration.
Exactly. You're seeing their patience. You're seeing their frustration when they mess up a brushstroke. You are seeing the tremors in their hand. You are seeing the moment they got distracted by a noise outside. It's all in there.
That actually changes how I look at bad art, because I look back at my old sketchbooks from high school or some terrible poetry I wrote in college, and I just cringe. I see bad drawings. I see failure.
We all do that. But the source argues it's not bad. It's just honest.
Honest in what way? Because it looks pretty dishonest to the rules of, like, human anatomy.
It's honest about your location in time. It shows exactly what your hand was capable of then and what your mind was prioritizing. Whether it's abstract or realistic, it doesn't matter. It quietly records, this is what I could do on this date, and this is what I was willing to spend my life minutes on.
So it's like a fossil.
It is a fossil of your past self. You wouldn't look at a fossil of a dinosaur and say, that's a bad bird. You'd say, this is an accurate record of a previous stage of evolution.
That actually makes me feel a lot better about my old journals. They aren't failures. They're accurate coordinates of where I was.
Precisely. It's a map of your past self. And that leads directly into the second point of the triangle, skill. If art is the snapshot of attention,
Then skill is the compression of time.
skill is time compressed into the body. That's the phrase.
It's a powerful image. We tend to think of skill as talent, as if it's this magical gift you're born with. Oh, she's just gifted at piano.
Right, as if it just appeared. But the document reframes it. Skill is just hours. Thousands and thousands of hours folded up and tucked into your nervous system, into your muscle memory.
So when you see a master pianist play or a chef chop an onion in like 3 seconds flat,
You aren't seeing magic. You are seeing time made visible. You're seeing fewer wasted motions. A beginner's hand flails around. An expert's hand makes one clean cut. You're seeing cleaner decisions.
and you're seeing restraint, right? The text talks about that.
Yes, that's so important. The text points out that beginners usually overdo it. They put in too many notes, too many brushstrokes, too many adjectives in their sentences.
They're trying to show off everything they know.
Exactly. Skill is the time it took to learn what not to do, what to leave out. That's what takes years.
That makes so much sense. It's like a beginner tries to do everything because they don't know what matters. The expert does 3 things, but they are the right 3 things.
Precisely. But there's a paradox here, isn't there? The text mentions that this actually works against the artist sometimes.
Yes, the paradox of effortlessness.
Exactly. High skill makes the art look easy.
Yeah.
When you watch a master, it looks like they're just breathing. It flows. And because it looks so effortless, the audience subconsciously undervalues the time it took to get there.
That is so true. You see a logo design, just a simple swoosh or an apple shape, and the immediate reaction for so many people is, I could draw that. Why did that cost $1 million? Why did that take 6 months?
Yes, because you're not seeing the 500 failed sketches. You're not seeing the 20 years of design theory they had to learn to know that that specific swoosh was the right one.
The better you get, the more invisible your labor becomes.
You are effectively hiding the years of struggle behind a veneer of simplicity. You spend 20 years learning how to make it look like it took 5 minutes.
Which is incredibly unfair when you think about it. But it brings us to the third point of this triangle, which I found really convicted me personally. Time as the true medium.
This is my favorite part of this section. We think the medium is paint or sound or coding languages or words, but those are just carriers. They're just the delivery mechanism.
The real medium is allocation.
Allocation of time, yes. The question isn't what paint did you use? It's what did you choose to practice instead of scrolling through your phone? What project did you finish instead of abandoning it halfway through?
Oof. Instead of scrolling, that hits home. I feel personally attacked right now.
We all do. I think that line is aimed at everyone alive in 2026. It's the core struggle. It's the intentional time rule. The source suggests that art doesn't demand infinite time. It just demands intentional time.
Consistency over intensity.
Right.
Yeah.
10 focused minutes a day for 10 years beats a single frantic burst of inspiration followed by 6 months of silence. That consistency is what compresses time into skill.
But the document also highlights this uncomfortable truth, this conflict between the three sides of the triangle. Because they don't really get along, do they?
No, they're at war with each other constantly. Art wants immediacy. Art is that feeling, that impulse. It says, I feel this emotion, I need to say it, and now, whatever.
And skill says what?
The skill says, wait, hold on, you aren't good enough to say it yet. If you try to paint this grand vision now, you'll just make a mess, you'll ruin it. Patience.
And time.
Time doesn't care, time just says tick.
Tick. That is chilling. It's just indifferent.
It's the fundamental tension of the creative life. Beginners have all this passion, and they rush to express without skill. And they get frustrated because the output doesn't match their taste. The thing in their head is beautiful, but the thing on the page is clumsy.
Oh, we know that feeling so well.
But then you have the experts,
Mm.
and they sometimes hide behind their skill. They wait so long to be ready that they stop expressing anything real. They just polish. They become, technicians of nothing.
So what's the solution? Because I feel that tension every day. I have ideas I want to execute, but I know I'm not good enough yet. The text offers a reframing strategy.
It's a mental shift. It's a way out of that trap. Instead of asking, is this good? Which triggers all that comparison, all that insecurity and perfectionism.
Yeah, stuff that makes you quit.
All of it. Instead of that, you ask, is this an honest use of my time at my current skill level?
Let me repeat that. Is this an honest use of my time at my current skill level?
It completely reframes the goal. It anchors the art in the process, not the outcome. If you gave it your honest attention based on where you are today, then the art is successful.
Even if it's bad by objective standards.
Even if it's bad, it is successful as a record of your time. It dissolves the comparison to others because their time and their skill level are different. It's only about your honest engagement with your own coordinates.
That is a huge shift, but I have to play devil's advocate here. Because even if I'm honest with my time and I make the thing, is it actually worth it? I mean, is it an efficient use of a life?
Yeah.
This leads us to the next big anxiety in the document, the economics of legacy.
Section 2, the efficiency problem. This is where it gets really uncomfortable.
I want to push on this math, though, because it hurts. The text raises this question, and it's a good one. Is it efficient to spend 10,000 hours mastering a skill if the audience only spends 30 seconds consuming it?
It's a brutal calculation.
It's not just brutal, it's a bad business model. If I invested $10,000 and got 3 cents back, I'd be an idiot. I'd be fired. So you spend a decade learning to write a novel. Someone reads it on a flight and just leaves it in the seat pocket. You spend 20 years learning to play the violin. Someone listens to the track for 3 minutes while they're doing the dishes. Why isn't that just a tragic waste of a life?
If you view it as a transaction, minutes for minutes, it's a bankruptcy. You're trading a decade for a moment. But the expert in the text rebuts this. Legacy isn't about audience size or duration of consumption. It's about something it calls time displacement.
Okay, talk to me about time displacement, and please talk me out of this despair because this is a really depressing thought.
It introduces this concept of time alchemy. And this is the part that I think saves the artist from that despair.
Alchemy implies magic. I'm a little skeptical.
It's not magic, it's compression. Think about a bouillon cube, a stock cube for soup.
Okay, like for soup.
Yeah, exactly. That little 1-inch cube isn't just a cube. It's gallons of vegetable broth with carrots and onions and celery boiled down, reduced, simmered for hours and hours until all the water is gone and only the pure, concentrated flavor remains.
Okay, I'm with you. It's a concentrate.
When you listen to that 3-minute violin track or read that short poem, you aren't consuming 3 minutes of time. You are consuming the stock cube of that artist's life.
Oh.
You are ingesting 10 years of discipline, 10 years of heartbreak, 10 years of learning how to feel, all concentrated into a dose that hits your bloodstream in 180 seconds.
So the intensity of the listener's experience comes from the density of the artist's time.
Exactly. That's the alchemy. It's transforming a huge volume of time into a small, potent moment of impact. That's why a generic algorithm-generated pop song might be fun for a second, but a concerto that took a lifetime to compose makes you weep. One is diluted, the other is concentrated.
So that poem read in 30 seconds isn't just 30 seconds of content.
No, that 30 seconds represents years of lived experience, thousands of quiet decisions, distillations of joy and pain. It's not a fair trade of time, it's a transfer of essence.
That brings up the cathedral analogy the source uses, right?
Yes, exactly. A cathedral takes centuries to build. Generations of stonemasons lived and died working on it. A tourist walks through in 20 minutes. Does that mean the stonemasons wasted their lives?
No, because the experience of the cathedral, it changes you. You walk in, you feel small, you feel awe. That 20 minutes can alter your perspective for years.
Exactly. Art doesn't aim to occupy time like background noise or something to fill a waiting room. It aims to change the inner compass of the listener.
It changes the shape of their time going forward.
Right. Home-cooked meal is gone in 20 minutes. But the feeling of being cared for, the memory of that taste, that can linger for a lifetime. The metric of consumption minutes is completely flawed for anything that actually matters.
This connects to the validation debate. We always hear this binary, do it for yourself or do it for the fans. The text calls this a false binary.
It dismisses that entirely because it's never just one or the other. The real question is, what relationship do you want between your inner life and the world?
Ooh, say that again. That's a big question.
What relationship do you want between your inner life and the world?
Yeah.
For some people, the practice itself is the point. The act of playing the violin settles their mind. For them, the output isn't the music that gets recorded. The output is them.
The output is the person they become through the practice.
Yes. If the practice reshapes how you see the world, if it makes you more patient, more observant, more empathetic, then it is deeply efficient, even if no one ever sees or hears the final product. You use that time to build a better version of yourself.
That's incredibly liberating because I think we feel so much pressure to ship, to publish, to monetize everything.
Everything has to have an ROI.
Yeah. But if the byproduct of writing is that I simply understand my own thoughts better, then the time wasn't wasted at all, even if the file just sits on my hard drive forever.
Precisely. You are the vessel. The art is just the exhaust.
Okay, so that handles the internal side of legacy, the me part. But the text pivots pretty hard in Section 3 to something that involves other people more directly, social legacy.
This is where we move from objects to people. The source makes a really stark distinction here. Objects decay. Art fades, but people carry forward.
It gets into the idea of transmission versus preservation.
Right. Art tries to preserve a moment, to freeze it. But social legacy parenting, teaching, mentoring it, transmits a way of being.
And the argument is that transmission is stronger.
It's stronger because it's alive. It updates itself. A value you teach to a child becomes flexible in their hands. A skill you pass on to an apprentice evolves as they use it. A painting on a wall just slowly fades. A person grows.
This brings up the generational ecology section. The text talks about the danger of a peer-only life, and I see this happening everywhere. My parents hang out with people their age. I hang out with people my age.
It is a modern phenomenon. We tend to silo ourselves by age. We work with people our own age. We socialize with them. But the text argues that if everyone you know is your age, your world shrinks as your bodies fail.
It calls it a closed loop. Right, a memory loop.
Yes. If your only shared memories are with people who are also forgetting or who are also passing away, then memory becomes this closed system. It collapses inward. You end up telling the same stories to the same people until there's no one left to hear them.
That is incredibly depressing. So the antidote is intergenerational bonds.
It sounds clinical, but it's deeply emotional. Connecting with younger people, the text says, turns aging into a handoff rather than a loss. You're not just losing your strength, you're passing the baton.
But isn't there a selfish angle to that? The text asks this directly. Is it selfish to mentor a young person just so you can live on in them? It feels a bit like, I don't know, using them as a biological hard drive.
The verdict from the source is, yes, it's selfish. And that's okay. It's species-level wiring. We are biologically programmed to want to transmit information to the future. It's how we survived.
It breaks down legacy into 3 types here, which I found really helpful. Ego legacy, continuity legacy, and stability legacy.
Ego legacy is remember my name. That's the statue in the park, the building with your name on it. It's fragile. No one really cares about the statue after 50 years.
And continuity legacy.
That is, carry this forward. Carry this skill, this value, this way of thinking. It's not about your name, it's about the idea itself continuing.
And the last one, stability legacy.
That is, you'll be okay without me. That's the parent's ultimate legacy. It's teaching your kid how to handle failure so that when you're gone, they don't collapse. It's making yourself unnecessary.
And the expert in the text points out that younger people are plastic. Not fake plastic, but neuroplastic.
Their brains are still forming. They're still forming their defaults. They are still deciding how to be in the world. They're soft clay.
So when you mentor someone or parent someone, when you really invest in them,
You become one of their internal voices. That is the most time-efficient care you could possibly give. You are literally coding yourself into their operating system. When they face a difficult problem in 20 years, long after you're gone, they might hear your voice in their head saying, take a breath, or measure twice, cut once.
that's wild. But it contrasts so sharply with modern isolation. The text calls it the lonely truth.
The lonely truth is that people avoid investing in youth because they fear obsolescence. They don't want to teach the intern everything they know because they're afraid the intern will get their job.
It's fear of irrelevance, fear of losing center stage.
It is. But the text says stepping back multiplies you. It doesn't erase you. If you hoard your knowledge, it dies with you. If you give it away freely, it walks around in 10 other people. But you have to be willing to let go of being the only one who knows it.
That's a huge ego check. And it segues perfectly into the context of how we remember people, because looking back at history, specifically the 1920s, as the text suggests, helps us see just how bizarre our current situation is.
It's crucial to anchor ourselves. Section 4 takes us back 100 years to the 1920s.
A time of what it calls legacy scarcity.
Absolute scarcity. I want you and everyone listening to really try to imagine this. No cloud, no home video, no internet, no digital archives. If you were a normal person, not a king or a movie star, when the last person who knew you died, you vanished.
Gone. Just gone.
Completely. There was no trace. Maybe a name in a family Bible, maybe a gravestone that eventually erodes. But your voice, your mannerisms, the specific way you laughed at a bad joke, gone forever.
The text mentions audio recording specifically as being this huge, weird thing.
Yes, in the 1920s, hearing a disembodied voice from a record was novelty level rare. It was eerie. It was basically magic to most people. Most people lived their entire lives and never once heard a recording of their own grandparents' voices.
Just think about that. Not hearing your grandmother's voice after she's gone.
You can't. It only exists in your memory, and your memory fades.
Mm.
And the psychology of that. People must have just accepted disappearance as the default state of being.
It was normal.
They did. Disappearance was normal. Being remembered was the exception, reserved for the very famous or the very powerful. You accepted that you would wash away like a footprint in the sand.
And now?
Now we have the opposite problem, abundance, redundancy. Everything is searchable. Everything is backed up to 3 different clouds. We have moved from the question, how can I be remembered, to the new modern horror of how will I ever fully disappear?
Which brings us to the present, the year 2026, Section 5, the ground drops out moment. We need to talk about the ghost in the machine, or I guess the ghost is the machine now.
This is where we confront the technology of today. We are standing on the precipice of AI preservation, and it's a very strange place to be.
The text uses a word here that gave me literal chills when I read it, necromancy.
It's a heavy word, but we have to be honest about what the tech is actually doing. It feels like raising the dead.
We aren't just talking about recording a voicemail anymore. We are talking about these large language models, these LLMs, that can ingest everything your grandmother ever wrote, every text she sent, every email, every video of her. And then after she's gone, you can keep texting her.
And she talks back.
Yeah.
In her voice, using her slang, referencing family jokes, using her specific way of phrasing things.
That is, I mean, my initial gut reaction is get that away from me. It feels like a profound violation. But the text argues that this is the uncanny valley of legacy.
It is the ultimate seduction. Because imagine you are grieving. You are desperate. You would give anything to hear her advice one more time.
Yeah.
And the simulation offers you that. It says, I'm here.
It's a comforting illusion.
But the document draws a hard red line here. It says technology can preserve the likeness, but it cannot preserve the relational emergence.
Relational emergence. Okay, break that down for me. Because if the bot sounds like her and gives advice like her, what's actually missing? Stakes.
Vulnerability. The fact that she could be wrong. The fact that she could get her feelings hurt by something you say. The fact that she is still changing and growing. The source argues that a person isn't just a set of data points or linguistic patterns.
Mm-hmm.
A person is a biological entity that is constantly becoming.
And the bot is finished. It's a static object.
The bot is a statue. It might be a talking statue, a hyper-realistic, interactive statue, but it cannot grow. It cannot be surprised. It cannot have a new thought it wasn't trained on. If you say something cruel to the bot, it simulates a reaction. It might say, that hurt my feelings, but, deep down, you didn't actually hurt anyone. There was no one home.
And because you didn't hurt anyone, the interaction has no moral weight. It's empty.
It's completely empty. Wow. So we're essentially creating these digital zombies. They walk and talk like the person we lost, but there's no pulse, no life.
And that leads to the danger of the archivist shrine. If you keep the simulation of your grandmother running, you never have to do the work of grieving. You never have to let go. You just freeze time. And as we learned in Section 1,
Art is frozen time, but people are supposed to flow.
people are water. If you freeze a person, you stop them from being a person. You turn them into an exhibit in the museum of your own grief.
A museum you never leave.
The text contrasts this shrine idea with archivist tool.
That's the healthier path, it argues. It's using the AI as a lens, as a sophisticated search engine for wisdom. You ask, how would my mentor have solved this problem? You're not pretending they're there, you're accessing their way of thinking. It's a library, not a seance.
This forces us to define what a person even is. The text explores this relational model.
Yeah, that a person isn't just a biological unit walking around. A person is what happens between people. It's the friction, the support, the disappointment, the shared joy. The relationship itself is part of what makes you a person.
And we see a broken version of this with parasocial relationships now. With streamers and their fans.
It's a perfect example. You can feel a deep, genuine connection to a streamer you've never met. The connection is real to you. Your feelings are real. But it's one-sided. It's a simulation of intimacy. The streamer doesn't know you exist.
The text makes a prediction for the year 2126, 100 years from now.
It predicts we will likely have AI companions that feel emotionally real, indistinguishable from humans in conversation. And the danger, the source argues, isn't that machines will replace people.
It's that we lower our definition of a person to match what machines can do.
That is the terrifying part. If we decide that chatting is all a friendship is, then a machine can be a perfect friend. But a friendship requires sacrifice, shared risk, showing up when it's inconvenient, and the ability to help you move a couch. Then a machine can't replace it.
The litmus test. Only living people can preserve responsibility.
And becoming. Machines are finished products. Humans are always, until the very end, in the process of becoming.
This bleeds directly into Section 6, the philosophy of skill in an AI world. Because if machines can do the work, is it cheating to use them?
We talked about skill as compressed time earlier. Now, if I use an AI to write a poem or paint a picture in 30 seconds, I'm skipping the compression, I'm skipping the 10,000 hours.
Externally, the result might be the same. The poem rhymes. The picture looks cool. People on social media like it.
But internally, something is lost. The text says you've lost the formation.
Formation, that's a key word. What does it mean?
The effort does invisible work on you. Struggling to write the poem teaches you about language, about rhythm, about emotion, about yourself. It literally changes your brain structure. If you skip the struggle and just prompt the AI for the output, you get the product, but you don't become the poet.
You get the result, but you lose the formation. You don't become the kind of person who understands the problem from the inside out.
Exactly. The source asks a key question here, which I think is the right one to ask about any new tool. What kind of person does this process produce? Does using this tool make me a visionary, or just a technician pushing buttons? Does it make me a steward of knowledge, or just a consumer of outputs?
But the text also acknowledges privilege. Doing things the hard way, the formation way, has always been a luxury.
It has. Most people don't have 10,000 hours to spare. The text uses an analogy. We lost the skill of foraging and hunting. We outsourced that to grocery stores.
And we don't consider that a tragedy. Mostly.
No, because it bought us time for other things. We lost a certain kind of ecological intimacy. We don't know the names of the plants in our backyard anymore, but we gain medicine in cities in this very conversation. The text argues that loss isn't automatically a tragedy, but we have to be aware of what we are trading.
So it's not, is AI bad? It's, what are we trading for this efficiency?
Exactly. Are we trading the deep satisfaction of mastery for the shallow convenience of output? Are we trading the joy of learning for the speed of the result? Those are the real questions.
We've covered a lot of ground here. From frozen time to digital zombies to the silence of the 1920s, Section 7 tries to make sense of it all. It calls it, again, existential hygiene.
I love this framing so much.
The text asks if this is all just doom prompting. Is it morbid to sit around thinking about death and legacy and the heat death of the universe?
And the expert in the text says no. It's sense-making. It's maintenance work on your internal model of reality. You have to clean out the dust bunnies of your own mortality once in a while.
It's the value of non-productive thought.
We live in a world that demands ROI on everything. If you're thinking, it better be to solve a business problem or make money. But this kind of thinking about death, about legacy, about time, it's like sleep. It's like stretching. It doesn't produce an output, but it changes your state. It stabilizes you. It makes the rest of your productive time better.
The source uses a metaphor here that I found really beautiful, the water droplet.
Humans are single droplets of water in an ocean.
Initially, that sounds small. It sounds insignificant. It makes me feel like I don't matter at all.
I had that same reaction. But the interpretation in the text is that it's not meant to minimize life. It's meant to de-inflate false expectations.
De-inflating expectations. Okay.
We're told by our culture that we need to be the wave. We need to be the storm. We need to be the tsunami that dominates the ocean. But the text says no. The droplet just needs to participate. It just needs to flow with the current, be part of the rain cycle, and eventually return to the whole.
It doesn't need to conquer the ocean. It just needs to be part of it.
Right. And that connects to the idea of sharing ideas. Why share if an AI can do it better? Why share if it's been said before?
Because it's not about authorship. It's about availability.
Someone else out there might need your specific filter. They might need to hear it in your voice with your specific mix of experiences to finally have it click for them. You aren't inventing the wire. You're just a cup that helps someone else drink.
That feels like a relief. It takes the pressure off being original and just puts the focus on being present and being generous.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up, let's try to summarize the key takeaways. We've been pretty deep. Let's surface for air.
Okay, 3 big ones for me. First, art is frozen time. It's a snapshot of your attention and honesty. It's not about good or bad. It's about coordinates on your personal map.
I like that. Coordinates.
Second, legacy is transmission, not preservation. It's about passing values to living people, not just leaving hard drives full of data. It's the bouillon cube of your life handed to someone else to nourish them.
And third.
And third, technology can preserve the voice. It can do the spooky necromancy. But only people can preserve the values. Only people can carry the responsibility.
That distinction between voice and values is crucial. That's the whole ball game right there.
It is. The machine can sound like you, but it can't act like you when it matters.
The source ends with a final provocation, a quote that it really landed for me.
You don't owe the future a masterpiece. You owe your limited time an honest shape.
You owe your limited time an honest shape. That is going to stick with me for a long, long time.
It's the antidote to all the pressure. Don't worry about the masterpiece in the museum. Just worry about the shape of today. Was it honest?
And there's one last thought on reflection itself, on this process. Why do we do this? Why do we have these conversations?
The text says, you don't need to monetize clarity. Sometimes the point is simply that, for a moment the world made sense, and I was present for it.
For a moment the world made sense.
That's enough. That's the win.
I think that is the perfect place to leave it. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into mortality, meaning, and the mechanics of being a person. It's been a journey.
It really has. Thanks for being here.
We'll catch you on the next one. Take care of your time.
And give it an honest shape.